This is a spring-summer Montgomery Ward 1985 catalog. When I was a kid, we had these all the time. They were always in the house. Usually ended up in the bathroom. But these are much more interesting today. For one reason, Montgomery Ward is no longer in business. For another reason, they just don't make catalogs like this anymore. And if you're a fan of the 80s, or if you're curious about the 80s, or if you lived through the 80s, you might want to stick around for this video, which is probably going to be a long one. So get yourself a cup of coffee, get your cat comfortable, like I've got Fiona here on her favorite heating pad. She just wants to watch my videos, and she loves watching them. So she's going to be joining the video to watch, and we're going to, oh, of course, as soon as I said that, she gets up. No, I think she's just adjusting. But we're going to flip through this catalog, and I'm going to talk about the 80s, share some memories, and just tell you what it was like to grow up during that time. And I think a catalog like this is just a really good launching point, because it shows you what people were wearing, what they were doing, what kind of technology we had, and how people lived. So as Fiona is gonna go run some errands and probably be back, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this catalog. As you can see, there's a very graphic design element to the cover. It's a clover, a four-leaf clover. You see more graphic design pop up around this time as we've gotten more advanced with computers and doing marketing layouts. And we can see the technology here. This is a computer. And on the back, we see style. This two-tone style was very, very popular in the 80s. The yin-yang sort of thing going on here. And you could see even this vase matches the sheets and the pillows and the curtains and probably the carpet too. So without further ado, let's cut into it. So what they're trying to show you is this four-leaf clover represents 4 different sections for easy shopping. Obviously, clothing, technology, tools and toys, and home. So here's another section which shows you greater detail, and it harkens back to the old original Montgomery Ward catalog. And if you go back into my channel, you'll find that I have reviewed the old Montgomery Ward catalogs. So but I think it's interesting now to look at something from the 80s, the time that I grew up in, and I can talk about it. And it talks about, using your phone, order your product, they will get it delivered to you. And now let's look at the clothes. We're going to start with ladies' fashion, and a lot of these knit sweater tops, these smart looking work outfits, but also I think these would be fit to go out and about. My mom had that exact sweater. A lot of these clothes and jewelry remind me of my mom when I was a kid in 1985, because she dressed like this. So it's actually kind of nostalgic to look at these pictures. There's the front cover, that hat and white outfit. I can see that being a very popular look. Take note of the hairstyle. That kind of what we generally associate with senior citizens now, was used a lot in the 80s. And these are the shoulder pads were a big deal. The double-breasted look was big. Kind of like these are power suit sort of outfits. This is a office-y kind of outfit. More of your recreational clothing. And we're in 1985 right now, which was, we're really in the 80s. Everything from 1980 until about the halfway through 1984, still, you could have mistaken it for the 70s. And everything from 88 on, you could mistake for the 90s. But 85, 86, and 87, that was pure 80s. That was the time when the attitudes, the fashions, the ideas, the music, everything said the 80s. This punk haircut kind of look. These earrings. Sort of Kim Basinger looking. And some of these dresses actually look, I still think, are quite attractive. And I'm not a fan of all of these looks, but some of them I think still are kind of ageless. She looks a little bit like Elizabeth Taylor. So this is generally a good example of how ladies dressed, and we're gonna continue to go through polka dots. And that look, my goodness. And here, this is something. Now, there was a movie called Annie Hall that came out in the 70s, I think, and that idea of the tie and the shirt and tie look is stuck around for a long time after that movie. A lot of women liked to dress like that, and that was not unusual to see. A lot of women would wear a whole, suit and tie. That look was very, very common. This sort of tie. It kind of reminds me of a Little House on the Prairie kind of thing. You saw that a lot, especially if you were going to an office building or if you were going to a government office or something. Someone at the reception desk would be dressed like that. We get into pants, jeans. The classic 80s mom jean. These were the original mom jeans. And that's, I know they've been trying to make a comeback now. In the 80s, they seemed to work. They just looked right. Pandas, big deal. You see, one thing you might have noticed is you don't see a lot of, images and, like there was pandas on that one shirt, but you don't see a lot of you might see anchors or nautical themes, but not compared to today. You don't also see brand names all over the place. That like Reebok and Nike and all that stuff, that would come later. Overalls were very, very popular. That baby doll look. We get into bathing suits. Apparently that's that company actually made a bathing suit for Montgomery Ward. And we get back into the high-waisted pants. But this is, we might associate these with an older look now, but this was what the young people would wear. Raincoats, and you see a lack of brand names, a lack of imagery on these outfits. She is totally trying to do Princess Diana. Totally trying to do Princess Diana face. That look is Princess Diana face. That was a specific facial expression that Diana would do for photographs, and women loved to imitate it back then. It's funny. We get into wedding stuff, bridesmaids' dresses. Keep an eye out for the Princess Diana looks. I can't even express enough how much Princess Diana was a cultural icon of this time. The jewelry section is practically unchanged from the 1800s. I mean, we start out with the chains that you with a close up, and then all the different jewelries. This arrowhead was a very popular one for boys. You got your class rings. You got these colored stone rings. I bought one for my mom one year. They were very popular. You get into your watches, the old super duper Casio digital watch. Casio was a big concern in the 80s. It was a big deal. Calculator watches were popular. These Moo-Moos. Nightwear. And we get to underwear, which I'm not going to linger on for very long. But this, if you can see, this is what it looks like in the 80s. And we get into fitness wear. Fitness, the headbands, wristbands, and leg warmers. This was a very, very big thing in the 80s too. We had Richard Simmons and Jane Fonda on all the workouts. Now we're getting into just the good old cotton underwear section where they're not even bothering to print it in color because it'd all be the same color. So we're gonna flip through this, and now we have gone through ladies' clothes, and we are moving into, there's luggage. Not a whole heck of a lot of different types of luggage back then, not like what you see today. And notice how bags, they didn't have the carry-on size as often as they do now because they didn't have the same restrictions on airplanes as they do today. And another thing, my first flight was in 1984 from I guess it was Houston to Montreal via New York, and everyone was smoking on that plane. And I carried a pocket knife on the plane. I was a Cub Scout, and I had my Cub Scout pocket knife, and they were fine with it. Razors, irons. This is travel stuff. This is travel razor, travel iron. More luggage. Now we're into sporting, vacation wear, kids stuff, and we see more characters on the kids' clothing. You'll see like Care Bears, Rainbow Bright, the popular things. Look at these cute little dresses that girls wore back then. It was just a different world. And so rainbows, paint brush strokes, that was a popular thing. Hawaiian shirts, whatever Punky Brewster was wearing is what girls wanted to wear. And now we're going from girls to boys, and we're starting with suits. I had a suit very much like that. It was bought for me, and it lasted about a month because I grew out of it really quick. Boys polo shirts. You wear it with this sort of elastic belt here, you see? That was really popular for boys. A shirt like this, I usually had an alligator on it or some other kind of animal on that section. Now we've got your cool clothes for boys, like your sleeveless shirts. It's got the Michael Jackson kind of look going, you know. Your jeans, your patriotic Reagan era Bugle boys with Airborne and Survival. I had all of this stuff and I loved it. Safari. See, this is what boys wanted to wear back then. This is it. Denim jacket. Break dancing. Might as well jump. Definitely fresh. Go ahead, make my day. Breakout. Get slimed. Special forces, and wow, that sums up all the things boys liked in these. Your members only or London Fog jacket. Your track suits. Exercise clothing, very colorful, generally came in red, blue, or white, maybe black. Sports clothes with your teams on it. Knee socks. Little girls' outfits. Little baby outfits. And you'll see like shirt tails and all of the cute little cartoon characters on these. As you can see, stripes were definitely the thing if you were a kid. Baby stuff. Care Bears. Of course, you're going to see lots of Care Bears, and you're going to see Smurfs and Garfield. You're going to see the things that were popular in the 80s. Rainbows. Horses. Okay, black and white stuff. Baby cribs. Child car seats. Let's talk about child car seats. Is that even a car seat? No, that's just a rocker. There's a car seat. Yeah, they weren't required back then. You could throw your baby in the back seat. No one cared. Things have changed a lot. When people went around with baby on board signs on their back window and a car seat, people thought they were overprotective. I just want to make a disclaimer here. I am not saying that you shouldn't use these things now. I think they make a lot of good sense. I'm just saying the attitudes then were different. So at no point, when I'm trying to express the attitudes of the 80s, do not interpret that as me saying that things were better off that way. So we hadn't figured everything out yet. Shoes. Lots of different shoes. To me, they all look kind of alike. I can't tell the difference between a lot of ladies' shoes. I can tell you that looks like something Wonder Woman would wear, and that doesn't. So I don't know a lot about it, but I'm going to show you. We want your shoes to fit right. At least they stopped x-raying feet then, but they used to x-ray your feet, and that's not good for you because it puts radiation in your body. They used to literally do that when you bought shoes. Nursemates and soft spots. Nursing shoes. Then we get to tennis shoes. And take a second to look at the tennis shoes. You had some high tops, but not very many. You had some Velcro, but most of them almost all looked the same. They were just identical. Converse. Pony was a big brand. Pony. I believe I wore Pony shoes. There wasn't a lot of diversity in the shoes, and the shoes were all made generally the same. They didn't last very long, and maybe rubber boots, work boots, bad weather boots. You got your office shoes. You got cowboy boots, hiking boots, which haven't changed much. And then your workout clothing for men, I would say subtle, not too many changes from today. Sleeveless, the hoodie. I mean, I see people in the gym wearing sleeveless hoodies today when they work out. I wear them too. This rainbow underwear for men. And we get to the unfortunate style of bikini briefs, which was the style for men in the 80s. Boxers were not in style whatsoever. Boxers were definitely not in style. Nor were boxer briefs. Leather jackets were in style. Big time. Because the 80s had a lot of 50s throwback looks. Then Michael Jackson kind of jackets, the shiny plastic, whatever Casper Van Dien's wearing here was in style. Coveralls, Ted Bundy's famous raincoat, worn by Ted Bundy here. Just basic blue work clothing here. painting, working clothes. It's kind of cool. I mean, nowadays a lot of jobs will pay for this stuff, or there's companies like Lands End and stuff that just deals in strictly work clothes. But back then, you would get from Montgomery Ward. Look at your NASCAR gear, so you can dress like a race car driver. That's crazy. Buy your NASCAR coveralls. More jeans. More pants. You can see the differences. They like dark denim back then. Sweater vests have not changed one iota. That look with the collar with all the snappy things and straps was a big deal. Basic kind of a Cuban shirt, sort of. And we're into golf and polo shirts. That kind of stuff. My brother wore shirts like that with a zipper. The crazy punk shirt right there was popular. More pants, Kotler, Chams, Tour de France, and you get to your business shirts and tie combos. With suspenders were very popular then. Sport blazers, sport coats. The three-piece was still widely used. Double-breasted was not in style at this time, at least not for men. There might be one in here, I wouldn't be surprised, but generally speaking, only old men wore double-breasted suits. Old gangster type of guys. Now we're getting into home and leisure, appliances, home improvement, sports, auto. Here is a clipping for a $10 certificate. So we'll just keep that in here. And we're in the home now. Sinks and hardware, toilet seats. Back then, toilet paper was colored or had designs on it, which you don't see anymore. Shower stalls, shower heads, very basic looking back then. Cabinets. That's Paige's dog-eared. Kitchen sinks with dishwashing, and you got your linoleum and tile floors. My parents love linoleum, so we always had linoleum floors. My mom hated carpet. It was always neat to go to a friend's house that had carpet because I wasn't used to feeling it under my feet. And ceiling fans, paint. It's kind of ironic that the paint supplies is in black and white. See how much stuff is in this catalog, and just imagine we kept these in the bathroom. I am not kidding. We didn't really use it to order anything. We just kept them in the bathroom as reading material. Heaters. Hot water heaters. I mean, you get some heavy-duty home improvement stuff here that's way over my head. Surveyor tools. I mean, you get some stuff that you're just surprised that they sold it at Montgomery Ward. Hold on, I've got to adjust my leg. Okay. Leg's going to sleep. Okay. Table saws. Workbench welders. I mean, some of this stuff you may have to have a certification to use nowadays. Coffee. Safes. Here's what your fridge would have looked like. And you can see some of the meals that definitely paid for the placement in this ad, like Banquet Extra Helping, which was their take against the Swanson Hungry Man. Sara Lee, just various frozen meats, a lot of meat. People did keep their bread in the fridge in the 80s. Probably not a bad idea. We always did. Pizza. Microwaves. I remember when we bought our first microwave, it was like 1982. We had to go to the city to buy it. My grandparents came down to buy it for us. It was like a present for us. And I remember how exciting it was to have a microwave and to make popcorn and to heat water, heat water in a cup. That just seemed so impossible at that time. To actually put a cup in a thing and the water inside of it would get hot without the cup getting hot. That was just unbelievable. It's little things like that that make you realize how much things have changed. The Maytag repairman was Mr. Carlson from WKRP in Cincinnati. And here's the shopping guide. Tells you how to return, blah, blah, blah. There's a business reply card. I mean, this stuff is practically unused. Shows your sizing charts. There's an index, everything. Boats. Oh my gosh, tires. Tires have changed. I mean, everything has kind of changed. Things were much more basic back then. This tire is called the Stalker. That name had a whole different meaning back then. Okay, car stereos that would play tapes. There were no CDs. Had not been invented yet. There was no Bluetooth. There was no Sirius Radio or Siri or iHeartRadio or any of that stuff. I mean, you had a tape or you had a radio or an 8-track. There might even be an 8-track in here somewhere. All kinds of things to put over your seats, where you upholster your car, 1950s style. Seat covers and pickup truck cover seats as the original touch. That you so can't buy this stuff anymore. But if you were redoing an old pickup truck, that's what you would buy. Here we go again with the whole bunny. Yeah, I can see the guy driving that car. I can see it in my head. The little pencil thin mustache and long greasy hair. Car covers. Tire covers. Just express your free spirit with. Go-karts. That was a first date thing when I was a kid. Go-karting with a girl you liked. So many times the first date consisted of go-karting. I don't know why. Or four-wheeling. I guess because I didn't live in the city. Motorcycles. Trailers. When you look at all of this stuff, jacks, you could get toolboxes from Montgomery Ward. Battery testers. Wire testers. So much hardware. Rims for your car. Spark plugs. And well, these are shocks. I saw spark plugs. Well, these are shocks too. Don't ignore me. They from a distance they look like spark plugs. Mufflers. No, I'm not an idiot. I know how to work on cars. All kinds of accessories for your Trans Am or your Corvette to make it douchier. Your Cadillac accessories. Your if you were my grandpa, you would get these for your car. Playground sets, the pool. Oh, my little girlfriend in elementary school had one of these pools, and oh, it was so much fun. All full of water bugs. Golfing stuff, basketball stuff, tennis stuff, telescopes. Halley's Comet. Yep, we looked at Halley's Comet with a telescope. I think it was 86 when Halley's Comet came out, because I remember looking at it. Sleeping bags, camping equipment. Is that camping toilet? Gross. Tents. Bikes. There's all your bikes. Exercise stuff. Roller skates. We didn't have rollerblades back then. We just had roller skates. More exercise stuff. Nautilus machine. Get into computers. It's time to get some technology going here. Look at that computer. That is the real deal. And we're going to look at some tech now. Okay. Watches with calculators on them, and they played video games. I had one. The Sony Walkman, necessary if you were living in the 80s to have one of these. Very necessary. The boombox, you needed these as well. The big boombox, as we called the quote-unquote ghetto blaster. The turntable, a turntable on a boombox. You would carry that somehow. A television on your boombox. We had something like this in the living room. Played records, tapes, and had big speakers. Oh wow. The compact disc, the CD has come out. It is so expensive. It's $899 for a CD player. That was some cutting edge technology. This is CB stuff. Bearcats, the police scanners and CBs, stuff for truckers. This is a CB. CBs were really popular from the 70s through most of the 80s. Citizens Band Radio. My grandpa had one in his Oldsmobile. Casio. Keyboard. Musical instruments. Cameras, which are pretty much obsolete now that we have these phones. A video camera back then was cost prohibitive. All these different cameras. All these different camera accessories. Telephones and telephone accessories. All the cordless phones. Very, very modern. Your wall-mounted house phone. Your portable television. We'd be in the back seat of my grandparents' car watching Family Ties on that. More telescopes. And we're getting into toys. Robots. Omnibot. Verbot. These were little robots for kids. The 4x4. Computers, desk lights, Epson computer, whole computer layout right here. Disk drive, keyboard, monitor, and printer. A big monitor, big printer, separate keyboard. Look, you do your stocks. You could hack the interwebs. There's a joystick to play games. You can do your charts and figures for your shopping list. And here we get into video games. This is like Atari, Apple. You can see some of the games. These are educational games. Dance Fantasy, Alphabet Zoo, Atari Logo, Big Bird's Delivery, Master SAT, Search Most Amazing. I remember that one in particular, Search Most Amazing. These are educational games we had as kids. It's kind of amazing to see this stuff again. I haven't seen it in years. Entertainment games like Ms. Pac-Man, Castle Wolfenstein. That might ring a bell. It's still a game. Quest for Tires, Frogger, Miner 2049, Archon, Enchanter, Pitfall, Hero, Dig Dug, Zaxxon, Impossible Mission, Pole Position, Dr. J and Larry Bird, Donkey Kong, Pit Stop. Lots of video game stuff. We get into our typewriters. Yep, we still used them. Still use typewriters. Advanced calculators. See how much they cost, you know? You pay $80 for a calculator. Televisions. Big and made out of wood. $1,200. $600, $500. I mean, televisions were expensive. A Watchman instead of a Walkman. Wow. VCRs. Wow, that's why we rented them. They're $1,100. Then we get into home stuff. Furniture. Look at that furniture. Lots of cool 80s. This is sort of Bauhausy 80s furniture. Wicker started creeping in towards the end of the 80s, so you didn't see too much of it then. You still had these cool, bold 80s looks and styles. Colorful, geometric, designy, and then you got some throwbacks. And we get Asian themed influence, homey, more Asian influence. Wow. A lot of different furniture choices. China cabinets. We have a china cabinet. You know, I mean, I think every family needs to have a china cabinet to put your memories in. I really believe that. I think that every house should have one. If you have a family, you should have a china cabinet. And you should put cups and plates that signify important events in your life in it. I mean, you might have a nice set of, like, your wedding china or whatever, to, you know, but then you should have a space set aside to put your things that are memories in your life. Oh, that's an ugly mattress. But this is what mattresses look. We didn't have these heavenly mattresses with memory foam and pillow tops and all that garbage back then. I mean, it was springs and a little bit of padding. That was it. All mattresses were essentially the same, unless you got a waterbed. It was air mattress. It was all the same. But this had some kind of cooling gel, but that stuff never works. Or it was a half water bed. They had those. They had like partial water beds. Never quite understood it. Rugs. Lamps. Lots of lamps. That style was big. Um, Tiffany lamps were big in the 80s for some reason. I mean, parts of this catalog just make me think I'm flipping through the 1800s one again, because the layout is so similar. Clocks. No, my grandpa, we had that. My grandparents had that exact clock. No, these things you stuck on the wall, these brass things, I remember those. Then we get to kitchen, dining stuff, plates, crockery, silverware, and knives. Spice racks, flour and sugar containers, teapots, cookingware, bakingware. Quite a lot of stuff. Mixing coffee makers. Wardrobes. Medical beds. Interesting. I didn't realize. This is recovery care equipment. And this is more like blood pressure. And then we get razors. Stuff for baths and feet care. Curtains. Lots of different curtains. See the colors. I mean, just the pastels and bright colors were big in the 80s. The 90s ushered in more earth tonings and also more busy wallpaper patterns and very homey stuff. For some reason, people were very insecure in the 90s, and we all wanted our homes to look like big cuddly quilts. Maybe because the 80s was just so much bold that the 90s was like we all wanted to retreat into a big giant Easter basket of comfort and paisley. Lots of curtains, lots of colorful curtains. Curtain rods, lots of curtain rods. Venetian blinds, different kinds of blinds, wicker blinds. Couch patterns. We still had our 70s couch, so we never got any of these couches or patterns in our house. We were quite comfortable with what we had from the 70s. Bathroom stuff, toilet cozies. One thing I didn't like about everyone in the 80s had this carpet thing on top of their toilet, and you could never, and if you put the seat up, it would always fall back down because that thing was too big always. It never could never sit up. Lots of crazy bathroom insanity and matching toilet paper. Scales, shower curtain rings. You ever see planes, trains, and automobiles? Shower curtain rings were a big deal in the 80s. More mattresses, cushions, and pillows. Unicorns were big. Not like today. Oh, that style. Okay, I had that exact bed style on my bed. Those sheets in that comforter. And we get to Cabbage Patch Kids, Muppet Babies, Care Bears, style for your kids, different Rainbow Bright, sports, Care Bears, RoboForce, Garfield, Masters of the Universe, Is this going to just end with beds? Are we not going to get a toy section? I'm going to be bummed if that's the case. I was hoping there would be action figures or something at the end of this rainbow here. That's more like the 90s. That would come into play. That big giant quilt look. Maybe only the winter catalog had toys. I will be bummed, but I will check. Because this just seems to want to end on lots and lots of bedspreads. And I know a lot of you didn't come here to look at bedspreads, and I know I didn't. But there's so many bedspreads. This reminds me of when I was a kid in the store and my parents would be looking at bedspreads and I would be so bored. Well, that's kind of cool. Bedspreads. Bedspreads. That could be problematic. Bedspreads. Bedspreads. And that's it. They didn't have a toy section. I'm bummed. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got another catalog from the 70s to show you in a few days. And I'm going to find a Christmas one that has toys. I'm not done with these catalogs yet. So, if you like my channel, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up on the video. And leave a comment. Until next time. Bye.